Welcome to another episode of Elevate. So this episode marks our 10th episode. So it's a milestone in itself. So आजको episodeमा as we cover another milestone, the guest needs to be special as well. So हामीसँग एकदमै interesting र inspiring guest हुनुहुन्छ. He has a working experience over 31 years in the banking industry. So he is the CEO of Standard Chartered Bank, Mr. Anirvan Ghosh Dastidar. So यो उहाँको 31 years को banking industry मा जुन journey रहेको छ त्यसबाट हामीले धेरै कुरा बटुल्न सक्छौं कि सक्दैनौं त थाहा छैन, but then I'm sure your conversation बाट you will be elevating yourself in the banking industry along with other working professionals as well. So let's welcome Mr. Anirvan. Welcome to the show. Okay, Anirvan sir, it's a pleasure to have you on Elevate. So talking about your experience, you have been in the banking industry for 31 years. So I am hoping a lot about what we can expect from the Pandora box, the Pandora full of knowledge. So it's a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so I think a lot of media has covered about you representing, you being the spokesperson of Standard Chartered Bank. But through this this show, we want to know who are you as an individual, what makes you at the top of your career game. So from your lens, who is Anirvan?
So I don't know whether I'm at top of my career.
That's so modest of you, but
no,
yeah.
it's not modest. I mean, each to his own. Who is Anirvan? I think one of the things which I keep telling my friends is I think I have been able to demystify the CEO role, right? I'm like any other person, right? And people have this notion about CEOs.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of my colleagues have seen the side of me, which is like anybody else, right?
Yeah.
Cycling in the morning, going out with kids, in the market buying his fish and vegetables, having So, the point I am making is that our titles and our jobs are all temporary.
True,
right?
that's true, right.
Once you're not there, life changes completely. But the real me is just like anybody else, right?
Yeah.
Everything else around me, as far as my job is concerned, is just a phase.
Yeah, it's a phase. You also mentioned about cycling and stuff recently. So how does a day in a life of yours look like? Because I believe a person's success mantra, I assume, lies in what they do in a day, how they utilize their time, how they spend every penny of time that they have. So what does a typical day in your life looks like? Let's part it in two ways. In a working day and in a personal holiday. So how does a day look like?
So firstly, my busiest days are the holidays.
Really? How?
The family, right? In fact, the comfortable days are the work days because there's a pattern.
Yeah,
right?
True.
And no 2 days are different. So I can't tell you what is a typical day. Now, let's take today. Morning I got up, I went cycling to Nagarjuna. Right?
Okay.
And I came back. It was a 2-hour ride. Right? Now I went to office, I've come here. Evening there is something. Now every day for me is different. And the mood is different, the energy is also different.
True.
Everything is different, right? It's not a typical. Now a typical day, if I had to outline, would be, there would be some activity in the morning. I'm an outdoor person.
Okay.
I live in Vaisipati, so when it's not raining, I'm either trekking or walking or going to Chobar or something.
Okay. Every single day?
I do something every day, Mom.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
My family complains that I'm restless. And I don't take any rest. Either I'm doing yoga, I'm training. I have a full-fledged gym in the house.
Nice.
But I'm an outdoor person. I like to walk, I like to cycle. So something in the morning and then to work. Now the work schedule depends.
Yeah.
Some days is a lot of external activity, some days a lot of internal activity. Some days are intense. And one thumb rule I have, which I've maintained, especially in the last 14 or 15 years of my life, is I don't like to work late.
Yeah.
And I draw a line in the sand. It doesn't matter. I am out of the office by 6.
Okay.
Because I like to see my kids while they are horizontal, not vertical.
Okay.
I don't want to enter the house and see them sleeping. Right?
Yeah.
So, and while I'm at work, so I believe in quality. And I preach that for my colleagues. Staying late and working means nothing to me.
Yeah.
It's a sign of inefficiency. So a typical day is I'm in office till 6. most days, and social life is hectic in Nepal because of the position.
Yeah.
You get invited out every day, but
Yeah.
I kind of choose where I want to go. Try and prefer to be home. I eat very early.
Okay.
The moment I reach home at 6:30, dinner is done.
6:30.
Yeah,
Okay.
I eat very early. And I go to sleep early because I get up very
You
early.
wake up early,
So if
right?
I'm not invited out, I'm not out, I'll be in bed by 9:30.
Okay, that's so interesting. I think this culture is something that a lot of youth needs to work on, because we find a lot of youth getting up late at night and sleeping till 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And I think your experience will teach them a lot.
No, but it's not fair to impose that on. See, when you're young, a lot of us never went to sleep early, right?
Okay.
So my advice would be each to his own, because when you're starting your life or doing a lot of things, it's not easy, right?
True.
I see my daughter, I mean, she's up studying till 2 o'clock in the morning, right?
Okay.
And still getting up at 6 to attend classes. So you can't have a set pattern for everybody, right?
That's true.
Now, I can do it at this stage in life. Doesn't mean, like you're saying, youngsters can do it. They will have their own requirements.
But do you think that this lifestyle that you are living currently would help them to foster in their career more efficiently?
But why would somebody like me come out with us, or why should somebody like me preach to the youngsters? Because, like I said, everybody's life is very different.
True.
The only advice I will give you or give everybody else is, within that space, people will have to find out something which gives them a relatively stress-free environment, gives them a balance in terms of this thing. When we start our careers, obviously the work life is always takes
The higher majority of time.
right?
Yeah.
And you don't have time for and as you start getting old and you realize that your family life is limited,
Yeah.
and it'll all go away one day when your kids grow up.
True.
Then you start giving more importance to your family life, right? So it's a phase, right? But end of the day, whatever works for you. I mean, I'm at my best, or at my comfortable best, when I follow a routine like this. It works for me. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for everybody else.
True. I think it depends on the individual and their priorities.
What the individual
True.
is going through.
Yeah.
So I would never say, look, this is right and this is the way people should lead their lives.
Okay. So, how you mentioned about your family too. So, what do you think about work-life balance and how important it is? Because do you think it's necessary, or is it a myth?
Yeah, I think people have made an industry out of this word work-life balance. Right?
Yeah, it's quite
everything
relevant.
is a balance. Right? I mean, and so it sounds like rockets, work-life balance, right? Now, how much work, how much life, this is very subjective, right? So, going back to the earlier point, that everybody needs to strike their own balance, right? And everybody has, some people get a high from work. I mean, there are people who just like to keep working.
Yeah.
And that makes them happy. That's fine, right? And that is their life. Right? So this concept of work and life, even work is life, right?
Yeah.
So again, I am never going to stand up and say, this is what you should do.
Okay.
You find your own balance. Right? And do what you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
The day I stop enjoying work, I'll stop working, right?
Yeah.
As long as you're enjoying your work, and even on what you call life, do things which gives you happiness.
Happiness,
right? Or
true.
gives you, everybody has his or her own space, right?
True.
And that's work-life balance for me, right?
Okay, but yeah, it totally depends on how we want our life to be.
Right.
Correct. So let's move down to the memory lane for a time being. So how were you as a student? How was your academics? Could you please guide us through your academic journey?
I was terrible.
Really?
Yeah, I was a backbencher.
Okay.
I was an average student because I was more into sports, right? I'm not a person who was cut out for sitting, studying, exams.
Okay,
right?
interesting.
I kind of scraped through, right? So I'll disappoint you. I wasn't a great student.
Okay.
Right? And I've seen, at least in my generation, the so-called naughty boys in school have done very well for themselves.
True, I think,
Right?
yeah.
because we were probably a bit more street smart.
Street smart. I think that's what the world requires.
But I don't think that applies to today, because today's day and age is far more competitive. And I actually pity, or I won't say, I think today's times are much tougher.
True.
We had it easy. We didn't have to struggle for admissions into college or get 99.9% and still had to queue up for admissions. Our life was fairly easy, right? Went to school, went to college. Even finding a job wasn't that difficult. Right? But today's times are very difficult.
That's
so
true.
Different times. But yeah, I was just an average student.
Okay. So you mentioned about sports. So would you consider yourself being more inclined towards academics or extracurricular activities?
Extracurricular activities.
So what were they that you would be involved in?
I've competed at many disciplines at a competitive level, club level, district level, college level. It's football, water polo, swimming, athletics, tennis, squash. I mean, so I had a very active sports life, right? And same in our family, right? So academics is, in those days, you would get spanked at home. Yeah,
Okay.
Right? So it was kind of a default, right?
So from your experience that you just said, so would you consider yourself more inclined towards academics or extracurricular activities?
Extracurricular activities.
So what are the activities you were mostly inclined towards?
Sports, a lot of sports. I mean, our growing up years were besides school, representing school, club, college, music, so everything. I mean, a lot of activities.
Yeah. So in today's generation, in today's career aspect, would you think that a young graduate should have full-on 4 GPA, or a blend of extracurricular activities would add in their CV? What would you suggest?
Firstly, I still can't understand why the young feel that we know everything. Frankly, I would like to get guided by the young today. The world has changed.
True.
I mean, when I look at my daughter who's doing college, it's a completely different world. I can't even relate to it. I'll probably need to understand myself and get educated. So who are we to advise the youngsters about GPO or whatever? Because it's a competitive world. Requirements have changed, right? It's a rat race out there. Pressures are tremendous.
True.
So it's very difficult to advise anything, right? Because our times are very different. So I really don't know what the right balance is. I mean, I've seen at least my daughter, the way she has to study, compete, get good marks, those kind of pressures we've never faced. So if I take that as an example, we've never tried and imposed on her that do this, don't do that, because I don't think we have the right to do it, because it's a very different world out there.
Yeah, it's a different world, but at the same time, you have gone through it from the same phase, and it has taught you a lot. So when you advise from your experience, she can really see what's coming next as well.
Honestly, she's the one who advises me now.
Really? Okay.
I mean, look, again, from what we have gone through, life was much easier. Let's be honest. We had it very easy. Whether it's competitiveness into getting into college, jobs, our career paths, right time, right place, luck. Today's world is very different. All I can say is to our
youth,
the youth is, please follow what is your passion, and please don't try to join the banking industry.
Really?
It is probably the most difficult industry, and it is evolving so much. I mean, today's day and age, why does everybody want to be a banker? It's a very tough profession, regulated, margins, whatever. So the point I'm making is, I'll give an example. At our time, would any of us go to our parents and say, we want to be a DJ?
No,
or we want to be an event manager?
I don't think
you only had a doctor, engineer, banker or something, right? But look at the kind of opportunities there are in so many kind of fields, right?
True.
So that's the point, right? Why does it have to narrow down into
the mainstream career options?
People are sitting at home and doing creative work, right?
True.
So today the world has really opened up. And yes, partly due to social media and the internet and all that.
Yeah.
So the point to the youth is find your sweet spot.
So the technology has evolved so much that we can monetize wherever we have our passion in, right? So you have mentioned about banking industry. So let's dive back into the memory lane. So how did you start into banking industry? Because 31 years in banking, it's a huge commitment one can make, right? So were you initially inclined towards banking, or is it the role of destiny that brought you in the banking industry?
See, when we started off, this was the early 90s, where the whole notion of working in a foreign bank in India was a big thing, right? These were the days when you had the Citibanks of the world. In those days, ANZ, Grindlays, Standard Chartered, HSBCs, and Indian banks hadn't evolved yet, right? All the local banks in many markets. Those were the days of the foreign bankers, right? The pay, the glamour. So we were all attracted to it, right? And I always wanted to, besides, actually, my earlier passion was to be a chef.
Okay, interesting.
But my father thought I just wanted to eat. So the pushback I got is, why don't you join a foreign bank? You can go to all nice hotels and eat.
Okay, so
anyway,
that's
right?
the strategy. Okay.
Yeah, but to cut a long story short, like I said, in those days, there was a fascination, right, for foreign banks. So I interned with Citi, and then I joined Grindlays. So that was a different era, right? And then there was a glide path, right? That's how I joined banking.
Okay, so when we have to remember your past, so how was the initial journey? Like, did you struggle anything, or were you lucky enough that you were guided by some mentors and team members?
See, everybody has struggled, but I can't complain, right? See, if you look back, a lot of us have been fortunate. And it's always good to see the positives. Like, I can sit back and keep moaning and groaning about all the struggles, but those struggles led to an outcome. Right?
True.
So,
True.
yes, I think our generation, probably the last generation which enjoyed the good old days of banking, right? Where customers came to the bank.
Yeah.
Banks didn't run after customers, right?
Yeah, true.
And you had those days of where, as a banker, you were looked at society very differently, right? And the lifestyle and everything else, right? The good old days of banking, right? 10 to 2 and blah, blah, blah and everything else, right? So I've seen both sides of it. Right? So, and obviously, many of us were fortunate to have gurus and mentors who shaped our career. So, and then the question of luck, being at the right place at the right time, being fortunate in many ways.
So if you have to remember your mentor, would you like to remember anybody,
I've had many, right?
Yeah, so you can't
have one person. And you pick up the best skills from each, and then you filter it and you develop your own
right
style, or you pick up the best of everybody, right?
That's true. So if we have to turn around the table and assume you as a mentor, so how are you as a mentor? How do you like to groom your subordinates, and how are you as a team player in your organization?
So one myth again I want to dispel is, I think many of us need to be mentored now.
True.
The way the world is today. Right? I find it, see, one does mentor, right? But the mentor is more about life skills, experiences, what to watch out for. But today, I don't think it can be a one-way street. It has to be a two-way street, because the world has changed so much outside there. People like us are finding it very difficult to keep up unless we open our minds and educate ourselves and be open to the idea of being mentored by somebody much, much younger than us. Right?
So there's
an aspect of our life which we are having to keep up, right?
True.
But I think when you mentor somebody, it's not about what you think is right for that person. You have to listen to the person, what he or she wants, and then provide a support system around it. That's what we do nowadays, right? We can't dictate, oh, do this, that is right, that is wrong. You just put guardrails around to make sure. There are a lot of things which experience has taught us, which will never go away.
True.
And that's what we do.
Yeah. And that's what we are here for as well. So from your experiences, we try to give as much valuable lessons as much as possible. So you also mentioned about not having an age barrier to learn anything, right? So being in a competitive market where the technology is improving, the technology is getting fostered every day. So do you think it's challenging in your role, and how would you upskill yourself to break through the challenges that this technology advancement brings forward?
See, technology advancements, they're not rocket science. Okay? So the point is that all of us, it's a great leveler. At my age and stage in life, I'm back to becoming a student, right? So every time we get into a new initiative or a new path, you're back to learning again, right?
True.
And as long as you have an open mind that you don't know it all, it's not a struggle. So say we've launched API based solution.
Okay.
Even I have to learn, right? So the colleagues who are doing it or who are experts, you have to have an open mind that
True.
I need to sit with my colleagues and understand blockchain, right? Yes, things we are doing on blockchain. Now chat GPT has come, right?
It has created
Everything
a
is new,
revolution.
and you don't know what will come next, right?
True.
So
AI.
it's hard keeping up. But look, I still have another, and this will keep on and on and on, right?
True.
So the point is, are you open in terms of learning? I think a lot of us make the mistake of assuming we know it all. We don't know anything.
True.
Today's the banking landscape has changed more in the last 3-4 years than it has in the last 20 years, right? And the pace of change will be faster. And some of us will or may not be able to keep up completely. But as long as we are learning, I think we'll survive.
Yeah. So you mentioned about learning. So is there any books or podcast or anything that will help you to elevate your life in your corporate sector or in personal level as well?
So look, I find for myself the best way of learning is to anchor myself to certain people within the organization,
Okay.
right? And take a very close interest and participate in what they do. That's the fastest way to learn on the job. Case studies, right? Yes, there are podcasts, there are books, but on the job, there's nothing like on the job learning, and which is why goes back to the point that the CEO of the bank is just a class monitor, right? You're just there making sure there is kind of decorum and everybody gets on with their lives and you are supporting them in their journey.
True.
But at the same time, you have to be learning from your colleagues.
That's ultimately the
there are
thing.
Enough people who know it all, right? Or who are much evolved than we are. So that's the way I find that, which is why any idea in the bank, even if it comes from the grassroots or junior most level, I find it very interesting. Even if it can't be done, even if it is bizarre, because it teaches you a lot. I mean, that's the only way you can learn, right?
Yeah, either you can make it or you can break it, but at least you are not going alone. You are going up with experience and a lesson as well.
So that is fine, but you're open to learning, right?
True, that's true. So you have been in the banking industry for 31 years. So the most common complaint that we have in today's working space and in today's college atmosphere as well is that they are not being able to retain the employees for a longer period of time. So we have a term called hybrid working as well. So the working span of an individual in an organization is very short. So coming from your experience, what would you like to suggest the employees and also the employers to increase this span, to reduce the turnover rate?
So again, every person is different. So why am I in Standard Chartered for so long?
Yeah.
Let's look at a test case.
Okay.
It's not because of the money, right? It can't, because there have been moments in my life where even I have been offered jobs in other institutions, right? Everybody goes through that phase, right? But everybody has an ecosystem, right? The support system, family, what the bank does for you besides your pay grade or whatever it is, right? So from the employer side, if I look at it from an employer, what is that satisfaction will bring to the employee? Now, if you take in Nepal, a lot of people who come to us for jobs probably get paid more in the local bank, but they want to come to us, to your point on work-life balance. We have a support system where working mothers can bring in their children, our leave policies on maternity, paternity, hybrid working, flexible working, collaborative working. Now, is it because of the money? Probably for that person, it's, I have a complete life. I can look after my family, I can work, I can be respected, there's gender equality, there's no bias. There are a lot of things, right?
True.
So, it's all about listening to your employees, right? I personally believe we should put the employees at the center first and then the clients.
Okay.
Because happy employees will keep happy customers, right?
True, true.
And then as an employee, some employees are very different, right? There's some people who are there only for the money, right? And depends on which part of the bank or institution you are. Yes, today's day and age, attrition is very high because people are probably much more ambitious.
True.
They want to move faster. But my only advice to them is, you run too fast, you'll fall too fast, right? And
That's
you'll burn
correct.
out, right?
True.
So pacing yourself is very important. And the balance will differ from person to person. Now, do I regret being in the bank for 31 years? I don't.
Okay.
Have I had my moments of wanting a change? Yes, I still do, right? But then when I look back, I have to look at everything, right? Are my kids happy? Is my family happy?
True.
Am I looked after? Does the bank give me an environment to do everything? It does, right? And so that there's no right answer for it, right? And for employers, I think you have to create that environment where people really find it difficult to leave. Right? That's what
Okay, that's quite interesting. So I think from conversing you till now, I think you are a really positive person, and you are you have a really open mind. So I think you won't be answering this question. Like, I was going to ask, what are the top 5 qualities that a good banker should have? But I would like to twist it a bit and ask you, what are your top 5 skills that made you a CEO of Standard Chartered Bank?
Well, Mr. Pashupatinath would have probably blessed me in some way. Right?
Okay.
Look, a lot of it is luck also, right?
True.
But
Blend of luck is required too.
everybody is different. So there is a phrase which some of my mentors have used, is either you have the power of personality or you have the power of product.
True.
Right? Some people are very good on the power of product. It's not that they're not good on power of personality, but it depends. So for some people it's the power of personality more, power of product less. I think for me it's the first, where it's not that I have a great personality or the best personality, but for me one of my strengths has been networking, right?
Okay.
And relationships. So as a CEO or a country manager or a head, the prime requisite for your job is not to be sitting in office and pushing paper, right?
True.
It is your ability to open doors and network across people, stakeholders, clients, regulators. And that I've always enjoyed interacting with people. So probably that has helped me move across various cultures, locations, people. And I'm very comfortable with people.
Okay.
So that's me, right? Now, everything else is a requisite. Obviously, if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be at the job.
True.
Whether you're analytical, whether you're directional, whether you have strong governance skills, whether you're a risk taker. I mean, that comes with experience. Everybody's got it. So, but everybody is different. You have CEOs who are introverts, right? But who are very strong in terms of their financial skills and other kind of skills. So everybody is different. But for me, I think one of the qualities which you need for an organization to be successful is your ability to reach out to people and your openness in welcoming people.
True.
See,
True.
ultimately we are a people business.
Exactly.
You have
Service-based
to be
business.
able to attract people or reach out and communicate with people. Otherwise, you can't get very far.
That's true. We need to be good with people, right? So you also talked about your experiences in multiple countries as well. So you have been as an acting CEO for 4 different countries, right? To name them, it's been Singapore, Philippines.
No, I've been not acting.
Yeah.
I've been a CEO.
Yeah, CEO, yeah, former CEO
in
for
Sri Lanka,
Sri Lanka,
Philippines, Brunei, and
Brunei.
Nepal.
Now you are as an acting CEO of Nepal.
I'm not acting. I'm the CEO
Yeah.
for Nepal.
Okay.
When you say acting in our parlance, it means temporarily you're
Okay.
filling in for something.
Oh.
There's no acting. It's real.
Okay, so thank you so much for clearing that doubt too, because I thought that it was like the thing that when we are CEO, it's called acting CEO. But thank you so much for that too. The question that I would like to ask is, so how do you find the difference in work culture in 4 different countries?
So I never compare.
Really?
Because it's the politically right thing to do.
Okay.
You never compare. And the reason I say that with a lot of respect is every country is socially, culturally different.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I say, oh, in Nepal people are laid back, that's not a fair thing to say.
Yeah,
right?
true.
So every country strengths are different, dynamics are different, the economic circumstances are different, which makes people different. Right?
True, true.
So I don't think I have an answer for that. Nepal has its own dynamics and its own way of working, which one needs to adopt to and move along.
Yeah. So let's draft it in another way. Like, what did you learn specifically from different countries that you carried down for Nepal as well?
So first, one advice I give to most expats is never go and try to work in a way where you're there to change the country. You can't.
Okay.
Right? Lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is stop saying, oh, in that country, that's the way it's done. Don't do that.
Okay.
Right? Every country is different. Respect it. Because the cultural nuances are very different. So it's about adapting. Yes, you bring in best practices, but don't start preaching. Right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm telling a Nepali, oh, in another country, if I'm a Nepali, I'll say, I don't give a damn. We are like this. So you have to respect that, right? And you have to find your way to work within that strength of that, whether it's that society or, the way people work, all of that.
Yeah. So if you have to suggest anybody who has been just starting their career in banking industry, so any suggestion for the young aspiring bankers?
Think hard.
Think hard.
Think hard. Do you want to get into banking?
Why?
Why do people want to get into banking? Let me ask you. I'm curious.
Okay. So I think people are morely interested in banking sector because of its genuinity, pay scale, and also about its durability too. I think it's the most permanent thing in the industry. So maybe that's why people are more inclined towards it.
Interesting. Even I'm learning.
Okay.
You use the word durability.
Okay.
Look, pay scale, I agree. In this part of the world, it's still a very highly paid industry. It is evolving. My advice to the younger generation, if you're getting into banking, is firstly think
hard. Yeah.
Is it about the pay, or are you really? You have to understand it's a highly regulated industry.
Yeah.
And the way it is being governed is going to get more and more intense.
Okay.
Right? Given everything that's happening all around us, right? Politically, economically, macroeconomics, geopolitics, name it, right? Regulation, and the industry is evolving. Right?
True.
The requirements of the new segments, the younger generation is changing. So it's going to see a lot of change. Banking itself will change, right? The quintessential good old banks is not going to be there forever, right? At least not in the shape and form we are
doing currently.
So, and you don't, and the old banking skills are not relevant for today's day and age. So my advice to them would be, think about that, right? And if you're getting into banking, then please pace yourself. Right? Don't join the bank and start running around saying I want to be a CEO tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. I see a lot of people ask me that question. How can I become a CEO of the bank? I mean, when I joined the bank, I didn't even know all this, right? I didn't even expect all this. So take your time, pace yourself, develop your skills, and take it on from there.
Okay. So, and what advice would you like to give to the bankers who are already working as a banker, and they might be situation where they are not feeling quite good about the situation and all the things that pulling them down? So, from your experience, did you have any sort of experiences?
No, I think there are moments,
Challenges?
There are moments where, see, if you look at globally, bankers have not earned a great reputation, especially in the last 10-15 years.
Okay.
You know, the scams, the financial meltdown,
True.
everything that's happened with banks, right? Whether it's around interest rates,
Yeah,
a lot of things, right? So the advice to a lot of the bankers who are still there is there are no shortcuts, right? And do what is ethical. See, a lot of us get tempted, whether it's interest rate, margins, and it's how do we optimize, make quick profits. I think wherever anything which has come easy has come with its price. End of the day, there is a certain moral obligation when it comes to banking. Whose money do we manage?
Yeah.
We have to keep reminding ourselves it is not our money.
True.
We are managing public's money, right? And when we deploy it, we need to deploy it with care and in the right way. That's what we have to keep reminding ourselves. And we are there for the long haul.
True.
Right? So if you look at Standard Chartered, if you look at everything that we try to say and do in Nepal, it's not about our profits. Because we are in many markets. It is about our purpose in Nepal. That is, we are here to spread prosperity and grow Nepal's
Economically.
commerce and help Nepal prosper, right?
Yeah.
Now to do that, we always have to be mindful of doing the right thing.
True.
It might come at the cost of doing business, right? We might have to give up doing certain kind of businesses. We might have to take decisions which may or may not make everybody happy. But it is at the larger interest of both the country, our franchise, our people, our clients, all of that, right? So I think people in banking do tend to get carried away,
Yeah.
especially at a senior level. But there are no shortcuts. You will have to think of the long term, especially how you structure your balance sheet, how you deploy your capital, what are the kind of businesses you do. I mean, today in Nepal, a lot of money has gone into the real estate and stock market. Are those really productive sectors? I mean, is that the right thing for the country? So, do the right thing, I guess.
Yeah, correct. So you talked about economy as well. So what do you think Nepali economic system is currently, and how can we elevate it through banking industry?
So before that, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If somebody asks you, right, what is Nepal's biggest income earner or income generation? Right? Name me one sector. What is it?
I think it's mostly from remittance.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Sadly, no.
So the point is, Nepal has to move from this one-trick pony called remittances.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's growing. In fact, right now, we've got about 100 billion a month. Like record numbers.
True.
But it's like our own people who struggle to go overseas probably get exploited. And I look at them in the airport, the way they are treated.
Yeah, exactly.
They should be treated like royalty. They are the ones who work hard and send the money back
to Nepal.
and we spend, right? So that's the economic framework. Right? Is it sustainable?
Sadly, no.
So I think, very simply put, the alternative, obviously people are talking about energy. Right? That as we sell power.
True.
But even power is subject to climate and a lot of others. So yes. But I'm a strong believer that Nepal's youth are a powerhouse. Look at the gig economy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's
the
quite something interesting.
Of foreign exchange they are earning.
True,
right?
true.
I still haven't understood why Nepal cannot be a mini Bangalore or a KPO. People speak English, they're smart, they're well educated. The youth here have tremendous ideas. The
True.
startup culture is great. It can just become another center. Right?
True.
So, that vision of, even education, right? With such a climate, why wouldn't people attract Western universities? So set up campuses in Nepal for Indians and other South Asian neighbors to come and study here.
True.
There is so much of potential for Nepal, right? And because it's a young country, but we continue to talk about cement, steel, some solar, some this thing. There is no, I still don't see a direction. Power, yes. Agriculture, yes.
True.
There is a direction from the regulator where everybody is pushed to put it in the productive sector. But there are many other productive sectors which we feel for Nepal, even tourism. Right? The kind
Tourism
of tourism we see is not a very important part of GDP. It's about 6-7%. Right? But you can really grow that tourism across ecotourism, luxury tourism, whether it's cultural tourism. There are many forms of tourism, but where's the infrastructure?
Again,
right?
That's the backbone.
One trip through the airport will tell you what the infrastructure is. So there's lots to be done, and I think that vision needs to come in. Besides the political stability this country needs.
That's true. I think that's a very quite positive piece of advice that you just gave, because Nepali youth has a lot of possibilities and a lot of prospect for growing. And I think apart from what we are focusing currently for just being dependent on remittance and just stuff like that, so we can truly elevate ourselves and find out multiple streams through which we can increase our economy. So moving forward, so you also talked about talked about money management thing and stuff, right? So how do you? Since I'm talking to a banker, how do you manage your money? And since financial literacy is something very important to be spoken towards youth as well, so how important is financial literacy in today's generation? And what advice would you like to give to the youth?
So, financial literacy and money management again is not rocket science. It's very simple, right? The golden principle is cut your coat according to the cloth you have, right?
Yeah.
And live within your means. That's being financially literate.
Yeah.
And save for the future. Now, did we start saving in time? Some of us? No, we didn't. Right? We woke up late. But then we started investing, saving, because end of the day, where we get carried away with our income is, it's not going to last forever. You are going to get old, you will retire, you will have children, you will have dependents. So my advice to you or to our younger generation is, please plan your finances. Please live within your limitations, because today money is cheap and easy, whether it's credit cards, whether loans. Everybody drives a nice car here. Almost every car is on a loan. This is all good. But remember, you've got to pay it back. Right?
Yeah, eventually.
So,
True.
Right. And there are countries today who are defaulting, they are leveraged. So financial literacy is all about the money you earn and the money you spend and the money you save. Right? And that's the basics.
So how early should a young person start saving or investing?
Immediately.
Okay.
Immediately.
And in seeing in the prospect of Nepal, which sector do you think is more lucrative or more profiting for people to invest?
Unfortunately, Nepal, from a savings perspective, I myself struggle. Right? There is no active mutual fund market. I mean, there are, but has it matured? No. Right? I mean, today back in India, I've been investing in systematic investment plans across mutual funds, and you create wealth creation over time. Right? Nepal, unfortunately, for the public, savings opportunities are limited. Right?
Okay.
It's either in government instruments or bank deposits, traditionally, or gold. Right? Even the insurance products, given that the stock market here is again very skewed towards certain stocks, and probably 130, 140 individual stockholders dominate the market, right? It's not spread out. It's not spread out in terms of diversification. So it's limited, right? It's very limited. Land is another thing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the Nepal financial industry, as it evolves, there'll be more opportunities for the younger people to invest and ensure that their savings are looked after.
That's true. Okay, so now since you represent Standard Chartered Bank in general as well, so let's talk about the culture at Standard Chartered Bank, because to be very honest, coming from my personal experience, whoever I come across Standard Chartered Bank, they are so happy and genuine about how they work. They truly love the place that they work in. So how is the culture of Standard Chartered Bank?
So the culture, if I put the culture, having been in the bank, I think it's a bank with a heart.
Yeah.
Now, people see it in both ways. Sometimes competitors, and especially our peer bank, that, the performance culture in Standard Chartered is very different, right? And there are banks which are very aggressive, their culture is very aggressive. But overall, I tend to not label Standard Chartered more as a bank, but more as an institution which cares a lot. Right?
Okay.
I mean, a lot of us have stuck around because the connection with the family, people, colleagues. So it's a bank which is a bit soft. It's got a heart. It is very sensitive to people's needs. Where you'll stay, how will you get transferred? What do your children do? Is the school okay? There's a lot of that. I faced it myself, right?
Okay.
Every time I moved a country, the bank probably has spent a lot in understanding what I need. How will my spouse adapt? What is my children's needs? Which school will they go to? How will you manage? And they're very sensitive to that, right? We are also very sensitive to personal issues, right?
Okay.
And we're very sensitive to that. And we create an ecosystem around that. We don't have rules which is, okay, this or that. It's not there. The other thing is our diversity is our biggest strength. Right?
True.
A lot of the biases we are very open to even people's sexual orientation. Right? I mean, today we are openly talking about menopause and what it does to women at work, and that's how open we are, right? About our employees, right? What they feel, what are their preferences, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, right? How would they like to dress? What is their ethnicity? What does it bring to the table? So that whole diversity factor has led to a very open culture and a very bold culture, right?
True, I must admit that.
Which was all hidden in the closets. And how we've come to embrace that and respect our colleagues is probably makes our bank very different as a company.
True.
Right? I mean, if you come to Nepal, I don't think you'll see any hierarchy.
That's the thing that
people sit with each other, right?
Yeah.
There are no cabins and rooms and special areas, nothing of that, right?
Yeah.
We eat together, we sit together, we work where we like. Even our dress is not hard and fast. You have to come in a suit, right? As long as you're decently or properly dressed, it's fine. Right? So everything has become flexible. It's like a family. People are sensitive to each other's needs. All of that.
Yeah. Eventually, it's a human working together, right? So I think I got the answer about my previous question about how to retain employees in an organization. I think you just elaborated it in a very beautiful way. I think that's how we can sustain an employee for a longer period of time by understanding them properly and providing them emotionally and financially both, I assume, right? So Standard Chartered Bank has a huge history of sustaining its employee, as I just mentioned. So how do we as an organization uplift its employees? Like any trainings or any activities that would help them to upskill their current roles?
So one is, it's not that we are absolutely perfect. I think we are also
it's always
evolving. There is something
process.
which we do call the My Voice survey.
Okay.
Right? And we have to take it with a pinch of salt because despite doing everything, that survey, good or bad, throws up a lot.
True.
Now there are people who are disgruntled, there are some people who have biases, there are some people who will never be happy. But it's important that we listen to that My Voice. Right? A lot comes out. Right? A lot of people also leave because they don't have good bosses.
Okay.
Right? People don't leave companies; they leave their line
Bosses.
managers. Right?
Yeah.
So it's still a process of evolution where you keep tweaking, right? And you create that environment. You can't make everybody happy.
True.
And again, I keep saying this is not about the money only. So everything that I've said, it's there as a culture. But, and different countries are different, right?
True.
The requirements are different, the cultural dynamics are different. So in Nepal, we have to keep adapting, right? Because it's not that we don't have attrition, but yes, attrition comparatively is less in Nepal. People are happy in the bank. It's comfortable, right? Is it too comfortable? I don't know. At times I wish it wasn't that comfortable because then complacency sets in,
Yeah.
right?
True.
It's a competitive world out there. Right? So it's an evolution. We'll have to keep fine-tuning ourselves as we go along.
That's true, 100%. So I assume a lot of youths are interested to apply in Standard Chartered Bank as well, right? So what are the top qualities that they see as an organization? What do you see as a top requirement to hire a new employee?
Look, besides their qualification,
Yeah, apart from
this
the
qualification is just the entry point, right?
True.
It's a competitive world. So in today's day and age, whether you have a postgraduate degree, you have a professional qualification, but ultimately it's the hunger and the fire, right? I mean,
True.
It's, I remember interviewing a youngster who told me on my face, look, I want to join Standard Chartered because I want to be the CEO of the bank one day, right? Now, should I laugh at it? No, because that's the kind of passion or the fire that person has. He's very
True.
clear.
Yeah.
I'm a Nepali. I want to be a Nepali CEO in a foreign bank one day. So ultimately, and again, banking is not rocket science. We've had people from the hotel industry, aviation industry, service industry, FMCG industry, different industries who've been very successful bankers, right? And it is evolving. So it's the hunger, it's the fire, and the creativity that we look into people. Not everything else. It's on paper, right? You'll never know till the person joins you.
That's true. So we have covered, I guess, almost 360 degree of banking from your experience as well, right? So let's move on towards a lighter side of this conversation. So I assume that for a person to elevate in their career, I assume there's a huge role of a family too. So what's the impact that your family has given to you, and what freedom or what support that your family has given to you in your career that has helped you to elevate in your career?
So obviously, I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't moved across markets. Right? And that's what an international bank.
Yeah.
And the biggest struggle is the family, because they are the ones who kind of take the biggest pressure, right? Which
True.
is change of environment, change of home, change of schools, losing your friends, and especially for spouses who could have even had a career like mine, have to take a step back, right? And they have to keep adapting or develop a kind of model where they can work online. So obviously my spouse has probably made the largest sacrifice, because without her, I wouldn't have been able to do all this, right?
That's
so
true.
she said, look, I've got my own work and I can't move. It comes with its own set of dynamics. And so I've been very fortunate that way. And obviously she continues to manage, not at the ideal format, but she's found her own rhythm. And so I kind of feel that she probably could have done even better had it not been for my kind of vocation or my kind of work which I do. So that is the impact. Children, I think, get impacted the most.
That's
but
true.
there's a positive side for it. They are much more rounded in their character in terms of having seen different cultures,
countries.
But on the flip side, there is a certain degree of trauma they go through, because every time they make friends, they move.
Yeah.
Which is why towards the end we didn't move our daughter. She finished her studies in Brunei. We were here, and then she went off for a higher education. My son probably, when I leave Nepal, the family will stay on because he's doing great at the British school.
Okay.
And can we afford another change? No. So there are these things which impact you a lot, and you have to find the right balance here. But
That's
clearly
true.
the family goes through a lot.
That's true. So who else is in your family? And the thing that I would like, it's more fascinating, is that we learn from every individual, right? So from your family, what are the different things that you learn from your family, from your wife, from your son and daughter? So
Well, they tell me I'm very impatient. So
okay.
I'm trying to learn to be patient, but I haven't got.
Yeah.
But look, I think the family is like a cushion. Right? Right? It kind of absorbs a lot for you
Yeah.
as you go through different stages or phases in this thing. And what you eventually realize that ultimately, despite everything around you, it is the family which kind of binds or holds, right?
True. That's
You don't have a
100%.
stable family front, you can't focus on the job, right?
True.
End of the day, you can take all the pressures at work, but you need to have very healthy and a very stable. Of course, there are phases in everybody's life, but the family piece is very important.
That's
Even
true.
if you're not living with them and you're, say, tomorrow if I move out and they're in Nepal, but knowing that they're doing well, they're happy, makes a big difference.
So what do you guys do together to enrich the family bonding? So any common hobbies that you all come up together and do it in a collective format?
I think nowadays that together time is limited to vacations and those kind of things, right? And it's only that once a year where all four of us are together. But the good thing is we're all very outdoor people.
Okay.
So we share common interests. But it's otherwise when we are going home to visit our parents, when we are traveling holidays, is when we get to other. And everybody has his or her routine nowadays, right? My son is busy with his activities. My wife is a photojournalist. She's writing. She's busy with her activities. But we are there together, right? And especially when we go on holidays and all, it's good fun. Otherwise,
there's no
sometimes
time.
they're probably happy if I'm not in the house.
Oh, really?
You know how it is, right?
Okay, so with this, we are also at the end of our today's interview session as well. So as every episode, I try to gamify it at the end of the program. So we have a few rapid fire questions with us. So are you ready for this?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, okay. So if not a banker, what other profession would you like to envision yourself in?
Well, I would have liked to be a sportsman.
Sportsman. Okay. Any specific sports that you are really inclined towards?
Well, probably squash or rowing at a competitive level.
Okay. So what's the most adventurous thing that you have ever done?
Well, I've sailed on a cargo ship for 7 weeks.
Wow.
It was like a intern. But in those days, I don't know whether we followed due process. It was bordering on the lines of being a stowaway, probably. But I did it. I mean, across many countries, and we knew somebody and who agreed to take me along. It was quite adventurous, sailing on a cargo vessel for 7 weeks and painting the deck and living on board and visiting ports.
I think we can have a different discussion just focusing light on this experience itself, but time issues anyways. So are you a morning person or a night owl? Morning person. Okay. What's your favorite movie of all time?
I don't have any particular favorite movie. It keeps changing. No favorite movies.
Any movie that impacted your life?
I like action movies.
Action movies. Okay. So if you could time travel, would you go to the past or the future?
That's a good question. I'll probably go into the past. I like history.
Past? Okay. Would you like any specific era that you would like to go and discover more?
That's even more difficult. Which era would I want to go back to? Yeah. Go back to an era where things were less violent.
Okay, yeah.
No, I really don't have an answer for that.
Okay, we'll pass that. What's your favorite way to stay active and fit?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm heavily into cycling. I travel countries. I compete at my age group. So probably that. I used to play a lot of golf. I still do, but I haven't after coming to Nepal. But I stay active. Anything which involves sports, I just
that fascinates you. Yeah, correct. So what's the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Live life king size.
That's the ultimate key to life, right? Okay, so what's your favorite type of music to listen to?
So I actually learned Western classical as a pianist up to grade 6.
Wow.
But I kind of enjoy folk a lot more. So in Nepal, right, I like the Nepali folk music, or the Nepali is a little bit like your 1974 types, right? So I tend to like a lot of the local music, which is fusion. And my favorite would be fusion, West, East, instrumental.
Okay. So do you prefer city life or countryside living?
Countryside.
Countryside, right? Okay, so are you an introvert or an extrovert person?
My family tells me I'm an introvert, which I think I am. I don't open up. But if you ask people in the bank, they'll say I'm an extrovert.
Okay.
Right. So I have to be comfortable first. So by nature, I'm introvert. I don't open up easily.
Okay, so once you get comfortable with person, then you open up. Okay. So what's the best piece of advice you would like to give your 18-year-old self?
My 18-year-old self.
Yeah.
Myself.
You. Yeah.
Well, probably there are some things I probably would have done a bit more. Yeah, probably studied a bit harder.
Okay.
And got some more degrees probably.
Okay, so what's your favorite type of cuisine?
Difficult question. See, I have my comfort foods, right, which is very Bengali.
Bengali food.
Up, right? But if there's one food which I can eat 365 days, or which I crave for, is probably more towards the Oriental side. So Japanese, Chinese.
Okay.
But end of the day, I'm still a dal bhat person. The dal bhat is common to India
and Nepal as well.
In Nepal as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's move on to Nepali cuisine as well. So any specific Nepali cuisine that you loved since you have been here for quite some time? So any favorite Nepali cuisine?
I like the Nepali thali. I mean, the sekuas and the Nevari cuisine, not something I can have regularly, but I love the Nepali black dal, which and not the ones you get here, the ones you get in Dolpa and all those kind of things. You know, the real black dals and all. Just give me a bowl of dal and bhat, and especially the black rice, and I'm happy here. I can have bowls and bowls of that and the tarkari here.
Wow. Okay, so I think you are quite Nepali by heart.
It's very similar to Eastern India. So it's,
yeah, true. So while taking decisions, right? So are you more of an optimistic or realistic person?
See, I'm by nature very optimistic. Right?
I can see that in our interview too.
Side, because there's no point cribbing about the dark side because you can't change it, right?
True.
So even here, right, even in the city of Kathmandu or whatever, I tend to see everything from the bright side.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will never enjoy a place, right? So I'm the eternal optimist.
Optimistic person. That's nice. So are you someone who prefers routine and structure, or do you thrive on spontaneity and flexibility?
You should ask my wife that question.
Okay.
I am bound by routine.
Really?
Like I would have already planned tomorrow. I have to be very routine. Holidays, flights, where I'll eat. It gives me now. It's a bit of a psychological issue with me, which a lot of people don't like, and I understand it's a weakness. Also, it's something which I'm not proud of. But I'm bound by routine.
Routine, the to-do list.
Even if I'm on a holiday, I have to know where the next lunch, dinner, which place we are going, from which route we are going. I like to be very structured. Now, it's not the right thing to do, but I am a creature of routine.
I think from my perspective, I think it's a very best thing to do because...
So. Like if somebody tells, hey, let's go for a movie right now. Oh, but we haven't planned for it.
Oh, okay.
It does become a problem. But try to break out every now and then, right?
So any specific time in a day that you just sit down and do the to-do list, or is it all in your mind itself?
No, so there are some things I am very clear what I need to do, right? Weekly, monthly. But there are some things, obviously, you do it on the spur of the moment, right? And I like to, there are certain things, and I'm also very flexible from that point of view.
Okay, so yeah, with this we come to an end on today's program as well. So I'm sure our viewers got a lot of experiences, a lot of learning from your experiences. I think
whether they got experience, they probably got more stories there.
But stories teaches us a lot. I think storytelling, I think a person who is able to storytell quite efficiently, I think we get to learn a lot from that person, and I think I did it myself as well, and I'm sure our viewers did as well. So one final piece of advice you would like to give our audience who is watching us today to elevate their life, not just in banking sector, but in life in general?
Enjoy life. I mean, elevate yourself. I mean, again, what advice will I give? I mean, follow your passion, do the right thing, enjoy your life, and just, I mean, don't pressurize yourself too much.
True.
Right? Life will take its course.
So I must say you were one of the most positive and optimistic person that I had interviewed in this episode.
So you're telling me there are people who come in who are pessimists?
No. But you topped the list, I'm saying that. So thank you so much for being here. I wish you all the best for all the things that you do in your future. And it was nice talking to you. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you so much, and pleasure. And thank you for inviting me.
It's my pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Wow, so yeah, आजको episode was very interesting. हामीले अनिर्वाण जीको एक्सपिरियन्सबाट we learned a lot. उहाँको एउटा positive attitude र optimistic way of thinking, so way of living life ले I think हाम्रो viewers-हरुले पनि धेरै कुरा सिक्नु भयो होला एउटा banking industry मा कसरी flourish गर्ने or in life कसरी flourish गर्ने भनेर उहाँले थुप्रै टिप्सहरु दिनुभयो. So I hope that you liked the episode as much as I did. So make sure that you like, share and subscribe our channel. अनि आजको भिडियो कस्तो लाग्यो तपाईलाई प्रतिक्रिया जनाउनु होला हाम्रो कमेन्ट सेक्सनमा or DM मा भए पनि पठाउँदाखेरि हामीलाई पनि एलिभेट हुन हेल्प हुन्छ. So thank you so much for watching us. See you on the next side. Bye bye.